Thank you. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
So next speaker, Jan-Bart, Calewaert. I will put the presentation here. Welcome. I guess it's this. Is it this one?
Yep.
Okay, I will put full screen.
Thank you. So first of all, very grateful that Justin just spoke before me, already introducing the Ocean InfoHub, but also that there is technical expertise present for people who have been doing this work feeding into Ocean InfoHub. So any technical questions I can deflect to you, that's great. Because the people who know me know that I'm not a technical expert, and I'm actually also not involved, or have not been directly involved in Ocean InfoHub and ODIS. But this presentation, which has been submitted, and the PowerPoint has been prepared by Lucy Scott and Luigi Buttigieg, who are leading the Ocean InfoHub project, have asked me to present it on their behalf, as they are IODE colleagues. And they could unfortunately not be here because the Ocean InfoHub is ending at this moment, and they're wrapping up, and they're fully engaged in making sure that the legacy of the Ocean InfoHub is taken forward. So before I start, I would like to take a step back. And for those of you who are a bit older and have a bit of history, they know that over the last 20 to 30 years, we've seen really an enormous growth in the number of online ocean data and information sources. And with that, a proliferation of data portals, both thematically, but also at the local, national, and regional level. And in many of the regions across the globe, this problem of proliferation and finding it very difficult for the users to try and discover and bring together these various data has been addressed through a number of initiatives. In Europe, notably through Sea DataNet, and we've seen that this morning in the beginning of this century with Sea Search, and then a number of subsequent projects developing this federated data discovery and access service. And on top of that, the last 10, 15 years, we've seen with EMOTNet building on top of that, that has been largely addressed at the regional level in Europe, in other regions as well, to some extent. But at the global level, this has been largely missing still. Local users still find it very difficult to know what global data and information resources exist, but the other way around as well. For global users, it's not always very easy to know and understand what local or regional data and information sources exist elsewhere. There are also notable challenges of trust in some of the regions. And in response to that, that's a little bit the rationale for the Ocean InfoHub project, to look at developing an interoperability between existing information systems, to improve the flow of information to end users, to improve the discoverability and access to marine and coastal data for multiple purposes, but especially for sustainable management and informed policy development. There was a clear demand also in view of the Ocean Decade for Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. Also, an important objective was to facilitate equitable access to ocean information and knowledge products around the globe, and to connect independent digital initiatives to form a diverse but interoperable and inclusive ocean data and information system. So the ODIS system that has been there as a concept for some time, but is not yet a mature operational service. So the approach taken with the Ocean InfoHub project, which started 3 years ago, was to build very much on what exists already, working very much in close partnership with a number of key partners, and also a number of IODE sister projects and initiatives, notably ODISCAT, the Ocean Data and Information System Catalog of Data Services, which is now integrated in ODIS, the Ocean Expert System, Aquadocs, the Ocean Best Practices System of GOOS and IODE, the Ocean Biodiversity Information System, and the World Ocean Database. While in some regions, certain regional federated data systems have been more mature, in other regions this is not the case. So from the very onset, the focus has been, or particular attention has gone to working with 3 pilot regions in a true co-design process between the various partners in that region, but also across region to exchange knowledge, expertise, and know-how and technology. The 3 regions are Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa, and the Pacific small island developing states. And one of the successes, I think, of this project, as we've seen, is really taking this regional approach with the focus on those 3 regions. So what have been the results up to date? First of all, the Ocean InfoHub has developed the first phase of the Ocean Data and Information System architecture, very important. That's very important because it can help organizations and individuals to share their ocean metadata with the world, as Justin has shown, as well as to access the growing ecosystem of ocean data and information. System is lightweight, easy to implement, and resilient to gain or loss of parts. It's very flexible in that sense. Partners are aligned to ODIS, are also discoverable by Google dataset search and others. That's also a great added value. Also very important is that the partners retain their own data and complete control over what they share through their nodes. And all documentation is online, free, and open, of course. Second major result is the fact that through these efforts over the last 3 years, now more than 30 databases are indexed. You can see them in green. I'm not going to go through all of them. There are some thematic global ones, such as OBIS. There are a number of national oceanographic data centers who are connected. The European side, you have CDataNet and EMOTNet. So a lot of progress, a lot of achievements and lessons learned from that. But you can see from the wide, there's still a lot of work to be done. So it's really one step in a longer-term process. Third result is the Ocean InfoHub Global Search Portal. From the very beginning, it was put forward by the funders, the Flanders government, that the project needed to result in something practical and useful, not just work behind the scenes. And so as a result of the 3 years of effort, also feeding into ODIS, we have a global search portal that demonstrates the ODIS capacity, more than 130,000 content items in 7 content categories available for everyone to browse and make use of. And there's a growing database or list of use cases, of testimonials of different actors around the globe who have been using the Ocean InfoHub Global Search Portal already for their different activities. So I can imagine that it may appear a bit complex, all of these different projects and initiatives and longer-term systems. Just to try and clarify a little bit, Ocean InfoHub is a project. It was a time-limited project that is ending now, which aimed to catalyze and further develop ODIS, which is the long-term system or service. There's the Ocean Data and Information System, which had already the ODIS catalog, which is now completely integrated. Then you also have the Ocean Data 2030 program. That's a program that has been endorsed by the UN Decade. It's really there to expand or further develop ODIS to connect to a range of other data services, notably those who are operating in the Decade universe, that are other UN agencies and bodies that are not necessarily IOC, FAO, UNEP, and so forth. So it's an opportunity to gain more resources, more momentum to further develop and expand the remit of ODIS. Two main types of users, users of content. As I mentioned, more than 130,000 content items are discoverable, but also users of technology, as these technologies are open access and free to adopt by anyone. The use is also for those who are wanting to make their resources visible and discoverable globally. There's a growing number of use cases, as I mentioned. Notably, we're supporting MSP global and regional activities and sustainable ocean planning, communities of practice. There is close collaboration with the ICANN network of coastal atlases and other partners. All of these resources are available for you. So here is a couple of links that you can check out if you want to know more. And just to let you know that although the Ocean InfoHub is ending now, thanks to an increase of funding of the IOC budget, ODIS will now receive more structural funding through IOC, through the regular program. But then, of course, at the same time, through additional resources for add-on projects, and some of the proposals have already been submitted for the Flanders UNESCO Trust Fund, but also from NORAD, there is some funding going to be available, as well as in particular, and that's very good to know, the Ocean InfoHub Africa node already received additional funding to IOC Africa to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Time for questions. Justin?
Is there a strategy or a roadmap for future developments so we could try and align work?
Yes, I don't know the details, but Pier, Luigi, and Lucy Scott have developed a work plan for the coming 2 years, which is in its finalization, also with matching funding, and then with a number of optional parcours depending on additional funding being available for specific developments in the regions as well. So yes, that's certainly in the making. Thank you.
Okay, Mark.
Similar question about the plan. I'm a big admirer of the Ocean InfoHub work, but it's fair to say that it's stuck now at the data set and the metadata level, and it's a great framework for that, but are there plans to go into the data point and the measurement level?
If you ask me, that's where I would like to see it evolve, yes. I think internally there are different views as to how fast things can go and to what level, and obviously it's a stepwise approach, and it will also depend on resources being available. But I think if you look at all of the vision strategy documents that we have brought together in terms of the targets where we want to be in 2030 in developing a global interoperable data sharing framework and let's say a digital ecosystem that is really useful, we need to go to that next level. Yeah. So I think, yes, we need, the question is how long it will take. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, Bentile Liabi from, in this case, ILIA, Digital Twins of the Ocean. Now, you mentioned that there you are co-designing these informations and data hubs. Are you, to what degree do you include the users of these data hubs? I mean, there's an expertise in setting up the data and information hubs, but then you have the users. So I wonder if you could say a few words on how you are, if you have included them, and if not, how do you plan to do it?
I'm not the best person to answer that question because I haven't been involved in the implementation of the different regional nodes. I would expect yes. I think the idea was there to really bring together not only the data providers, but also those who would make use of the services. So given the emphasis on the co-design, in the project planning as well as in the outcomes. My expectation is that yes, this was very much embedded, but I don't know the details. But if we can provide it to you. I know who you are.
Let's move to the next presentation.